Hang in there, it is!
Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
All right, welcome back to another episode of The Smylie Show. We have one of the most recent winners of the PGA Tour at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, Russell Henley. Russell, driving back actually from the Players the other day, I drove through Columbus, Georgia, and I was telling my wife, I was like, hey, I think Russell lives here. So, I mean, Columbus was fantastic the other day, by the way. Perfect weather.
Yeah, it's good weather right now. We actually got some snow.
Did you? Oh, it's right.
Yeah.
It was, it was south of Birmingham, the snow. Most of the time, if we get snow in Birmingham, we're always on the very bottom part of it. But all the snow misses south. It was the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, my brother lives one of my brothers lives like an hour and a half south of here, and he got twice as much snow as we did. I think we got 3 or 4 inches. So
where does he live?
Cool. Dawson, Georgia, just outside Albany.
Okay. I feel like Albany, Tifton, that's the route that if you've ever driven to Florida from Alabama, you go through those towns.
Yeah. The peanut farmers and all that down there.
That's right. Well, I was kind of hoping you'd be wearing your cardigan today. A little disappointed to not see you in the cardigan. Have you worn it much?
Have you? I need to send it to the dry cleaners. It's been worn a lot lately. It's been pretty cool. Pretty much every morning at the Players, I'd walk out of our room, and my mother and father-in-law were staying with us in the same house, and I'd have it on. I'd be like, it's kind of cold in here, isn't it? Not really. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to wear it anyways.
Was it actually one of Arnold Palmer's cardigans, or is it now are we running out of cardigans that he owns, and now what's the story on that? Do you know?
I think it was his original cardigan. Yeah, I think
Sweet.
They kept it for me. Yeah, no, they let me try on a couple different sizes right before the ceremony, and the medium was a little too small, so I went with the large.
I mean, that was probably one of the things you weren't even thinking about was, oh, I get to have Arnold Palmer's cardigan. I know winning big time events is something that you've dreamed of, but still, I mean, I'm sure you did the whole tour in the office and you missed, even just speaking with Arnold back in the day when he was alive, just how much has it meant to you to win that event?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the ones I watched probably the most growing up. I mean, seeing Tiger win so many times with the clutch putts on 18, watching Rory win, watching Fran. I mean, so many guys have made awesome putts there to win, and just a really exciting finish. Pretty much always in that tournament, except for when Scottie blitzed us last year. But I really never, I don't know. I guess I never put myself in the thinking about hey, that's going to be one of the tournaments that I have a good chance to win one day. But it's matched up with my game pretty well the last couple of years. Had a good showing last year, and just kind of grown to really like tough tests, and that one is certainly tough.
Yeah, and so Bay Hill now has turned into basically the U.S. Open in the middle of the Florida swing, right? So It's firm and fast greens. I mean, those greens were basically as close to dead as I've ever seen greens on Sunday. Really, even beginning the week, you could tell how difficult the challenge was going to be. And then, of course, the long rough. And you're in the final group, right? And you're playing with Collin Morikawa. And I'm just curious from just your overall strategy standpoint. You talked about needing to be patient on a Sunday at Bay Hill, knowing that you need to stick to the game plan. But how difficult was that to do going up against a guy like Morikawa, who's you feel probably going into the day that he's probably not going to make a ton of mistakes?
Yeah, I mean, how solid is Collin? Just so steady, and it's I don't know. It's like most guys who for me at least, when I start playing a fade, eventually I overdo it and I start hitting some pulls and some over fades, but he just pretty much has his fade on autopilot for his whole life somehow. So it's just pretty to watch. He's just very confident, his demeanor, everything about him, he just exudes confidence, and his game's beautiful to watch. So I knew it was going to be hard. And I think that playing well consistently and putting myself in positions to have good tournaments, it kind of prepared me for that. I think that I kind of expected it and I kind of wanted. I mean, I didn't really want to be in the situation where everything's easy. You know, I think at this level, we're all kind of want to see what we're made of. And I was excited about it. I've spent some time with Collin from the President's Cup and just enjoy playing with him. And I've gotten to the point now in my career where I think just watching what other guys do really well, I respect it. I enjoy it. I played with Rory on Saturday, and some shots he hit that day, I'll never be able to hit. And most guys on tour won't ever be able to hit. And it's just cool to be able to look through the lens of like appreciating and respecting guys' games. And so I think that really helped me. And just like, man, I'm excited to play with Collin. You know, I hope the best for Collin, and I'm excited to watch him play and be in this situation. How cool is it to be in the final group at Bay Hill and Arnie's tournament? And so I just feel like I was excited to be there. And, you put me there 7-8 years ago. I think I don't know if my perspective would be the same, but I think just because of all the golf I've played and the road I've come to get to this point, I think I'm really able to appreciate it.
What did you feel like the door opened for you on Sunday? Because the start on that front nine, if I recall, you had a couple bogeys on some par fives. But then when did you feel like, okay, I need to step through this door and go try to chase this thing down?
Yeah, so I actually hit it really good the front. Number 4, I made bogey, really tough hole for me. It's such a long par 5 up that hill and really tough layup.
It's a hard hole, man. It's a hard tee shot,
I've
man.
made plenty of bogeys on that par 5.
Well, I've bailed left because I'm worried about hitting that creek or OB right. Yeah. And so the faders, I know you're not like a big fader, but that tree, if you're a fader, you see it pretty closely.
Yeah. It's an awkward tee shot for sure. So that one didn't bother me much, but like 6, I cut the corner nicely. And then I hit a perfect 4-iron right where we wanted to hit it in the rough, and I walk off with 6. You know, misjudged both of those chips pretty bad. And other than that, I didn't really hit it that bad on the front. I hit it pretty good. So I was encouraged by that, just disappointed. I felt like I was kind of fumbling the ball a little bit. And then the back, I think when I hit the 5-iron of my life on 14, hit a high fade there and hit it in there close and, got a 2-shot swing, and I got pretty pumped up on that putt. Definitely screamed a little bit of something when I was getting out of the hole, and I just was so excited to be in that that moment. And that's when I kind of felt like, okay, I'm only 1 shot back, and this place is hard, and you just, there's a lot of golf to be played. So that's kind of when I realized, like, okay, here I am.
What about the 16th hole, right? So you hit it just right of the green, and a chip shot that I want you to just kind of describe the lie, the shot. We obviously know you made it, but if it doesn't go in, where does it end up? I just want to hear about the whole circumstances around that chip shot.
Yeah. So earlier in the day on 6, I had my first lie was really weird, and it was kind of where everybody had been walking off the green right there. So the back behind the ball was down grain, and in front of the ball was side grain. And so I thought I would get ball, but then I thought it would slow it down through the strike. And I got all ball and just hammered it, and the club kind of flipped over. And then the next one, I thought I would get all ball again, and I didn't. I got grass, and it came out dead. And so I had been chipping well out of the rough that week. I've been chipping really well out of the rough. But the lie I had on 16 was really good, I thought. We both agreed I was going to get a lot of ball. And believe it or not, I hit my landing spot. I watched Michael Kim on that putted about 8 feet by. On the coverage when I watched it later, and I hit my landing spot. Of course it would have gone past the hole plenty, but I mean, I was really just looking back on it. Like, I'm happy that the ball came out. I hit it how I wanted to hit it, and I hit my landing spot. And when you're out of those lies, like executing, that's about all you can really do. And so, man, I kind of was thinking, if I miss this shot right of the green, that's obviously much better than left in the water.
Right.
And so I felt like I did my job in terms of putting it on the fat side of the hole, but when you get up there at Bay Hill, like, if you don't take on these shots, it's just going to be hard. And so I didn't execute and put it on the green. So then I was left with another hard shot. And so that's kind of what happened.
So it was kind of a bit of a match play situation on the 18th hole. If I recall, did you hit second? Collin Morikawa hit first, didn't he, into 18th green?
He did.
Yeah. So it was, once you saw where he hit it, at that point, were you just aiming 40 feet left? Like you were no reason to take on that flag.
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter where he hit it, I was going to aim out to the left. To put the pressure on him to make birdie. But thank goodness, Andy, my caddy, has had so many clutch calls for me in tough situations. He had a really clutch call for me in Mexico when I had a pretty big lead, and it came out great on the 17th hole. I had a weird lie, and I was talking about hitting a cut 8 on 18. A cut 7 on 18 at Bay Hill. And looking back, I've thanked him multiple times. Thank you so much for not letting me hit a cut 7 iron. That would have potentially put me in the back rough on the downslope, chipping into the water. So he really was adamant about me hitting an 8 iron, and he was right. So I was really thankful for that.
And so you lagged the putt about 4 feet by, a little kind of out of that comfort zone. For those that have never been in a situation like this to win the Arnold Palmer Invitational, were you able to stick to your routine, and were your thoughts, were you able to keep them to yourselves and not try to get it, a little out in front of yourself?
Yeah. So I had a good tester on 17 as well. And before that putt, I told Andy, my kind of keys always go over my head. As simple and boring as it sounds, I always say, get my line. I like to be decisive in how I get my line and read it, commit to my line, and then I move on with it. And I try to just say, I'm moving on whether this is good or bad, but I'm going to get my line and be decisive, and I'm going to commit to it and trust the work that I put in day in and day out on my stroke and on my process. And so I just had a good putt on 17 go in, and 18, we were telling ourselves, all right, he's going to make this from the fringe. You need to make this. So I kind of had it in my mind, you have to make this. And I just tried to really stay locked in to, that's my putt. I'm not thinking about anything else besides this putt right here. That's the only thing I'm worried about right now. I'm trying not to think about anything else. I want to go do an awesome process here, go through my routine, and just commit to it. And so hard to do when you're nervous, but at least I was thinking the right things.
Well, congrats, man. And if you had any chance to celebrate back in Columbus, Georgia, I know it's kind of a busy time of the year, man, but if you had a chance to celebrate with friends and family?
This Friday night, we're going to have some people over, some family and friends over. And and so I'll probably be wearing the red cardigan a little bit.
I mean, Columbus, Georgia. Can we talk a little bit about how your family has settled into Columbus? If I recall, you guys lived in Charleston before that. So even that, like those 2 cities that come to mind there aren't exactly like hotbeds for pros. So I just want to hear about how do you continue to prepare yourself against maybe not quite the same professional competition you face in week in, week out?
Yeah. That's a good question. We were in Charleston I lived there for 7 years. And when Teal got pregnant with our second child, Ruth, we were like, we need help. So we moved back to Columbus.
Is that where she's from?
She's from Columbus.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. She went to Auburn, and
we got the Auburn girls, man.
Yeah. We did. And so we were just like, we just need help. And so I knew that it was going to be a little different with the golf stuff, but since moving here, I've kind of found my groove in terms of using, multiple different courses around here, and live at Green Island. I do a lot of practice there. I go to the Country Club of Columbus and practice. And a lot of times I drive to Auburn and use their facility a little bit. And I'll play with some of those guys, play with Blaine Barber. I'll play with Jackson Coyvin. So I try to just kind of keep mixing it up depending on the time of year and just make it work.
Man, you played a practice round with Jackson Coyvin at Bay Hill. I do remember that. So now this makes sense of how you guys got mixed up to play together. Yeah.
Blaine Barber kind of introduced me to him, and then I saw him last year at the Memorial, and I had voted for him for the Haskins Award. And
gotcha.
We've just been playing some rounds. He's a hard worker. He's a nice kid, and I enjoy being around him. And we've had some good matches. It's been fun.
Well, you're in your studio, or I should say your wife's studio, Teal. She's an incredible artist. Francie is always shown me some of her works that she does and extremely talented. So for her and you obviously have, two different careers, but I'm just curious how you both support each other when it comes to you being a professional golfer and her being a full-time artist.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the biggest word is just for her is just her sacrifice. I mean, she's literally traveling wherever we go, is adamant about keeping our family together as much as possible, and makes me feel really loved and supported and confident that I'm, free to do my job and work hard at it. And when I'm home, I try to keep the kids as much as I can, or do whatever I can do to help her. But it's mainly just her supporting me in such a great way. And I think without her support and sacrifice that she's done through her job, and being like, hey, we're going to go on the road for 2 weeks. And that means really no work for me for right now. I wouldn't be able to do my job at such a high level. And so, yeah, it's been really cool to see her take on the role as an amazing mom, an amazing wife. And I'm very blessed.
Man, I was one of the funniest things I saw last year was at the President's Cup, and you know how the wives all have those outings and things to do, and of course there was a outing where the wives all painted pictures of their husbands, and Francie was like, you have got to look at this. This is the funniest thing ever. And it was everybody's paintings. It's like Max Homa, it's Sahith, and all their wives have painted these pictures. And then it was like, well, you have to look at Teal's because it's so much better than everybody else's.
Yeah. That was amazing. And I just, it's so hard to paint, and I don't think anybody realizes how hard it is until you try. Like, I had to try one time in a little thing we filmed here in the studio to like paint an apple, and it turned into like a ladybug with here we go.
We got the picture here.
Yeah. There it is.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. And I don't know, she puts different colors on my face and still makes it look like I'm, anyways, I feel dumb even trying to talk about what you did there. But yeah, I tried to paint an apple and it turned into a wounded ladybug with one wing.
Sure.
It's just so hard. And I think if anybody tries and they haven't done it before, they should try, because it's pretty cool to realize. Yeah. Painting it's hard.
Oh man. Well, was there an artist that was there helping all of the girlfriends and wives with painting? And when did they get to Teal and be like, wait, you know what you're doing? Wow, Scotty's is probably my favorite. I mean, his nostrils are like BBs right there. Wow, Saz is awesome too. I forgot about how good these are. That's good. Wow. Okay, that one's pretty close. I was flipping through it, and there's some really good ones. But then it's just so funny. I just wanted to know the artist that was helping all of these girlfriends and wives. Do you remember? Did Teal mention to you at all that she came? Yeah. What did she say?
So this guy was so nice. I ended up seeing a picture of him and all that, and I think he at the start. He kind of came over and tried to correct Teal on something she was doing. And it's a funny story, but I felt bad because this guy's probably just trying to help out.
Yeah.
He doesn't realize that Teal has been selling paintings for a decade. So I felt bad for him, but it's pretty funny. So I think he gave her some advice on not don't hold the brush like that or something like that. Uh-huh. And then about an hour later, when everybody's crowded around Teal and she's painting and everybody's just watching, he's like, okay, I got the picture now. But she's pretty funny.
She's a +5 handicap when it comes to painting, and everybody else is just playing for second.
Exactly.
Well, I want to get into a little bit of amateur golf because there's a conversation within this that I'm curious, because you could speak to it because you won a Fred Haskins Award. You won as an amateur at the University of Georgia, the nationwide tour, the second player to do that. And it was wild. I was reading a quote, because now in this day and age, if any amateur wins I guess it would be a Korn Ferry Tour event now, you would just expect that they would turn pro, right? Like that's something that when I saw that you played a full amateur schedule after winning a nationwide tour event, I said, man, I got to ask Russell why he wanted to continue to play amateur golf after winning a professional event.
Yeah. I mean, it seems a little more popular now to just turn pro. I just didn't feel like I was ready. I just felt like I wasn't ready as a golfer yet, really. I knew I could win, but I didn't feel like I had like really a team or anything. And also really wanted to play the Walker Cup. I didn't make it when I was a sophomore, and guys on the team did make it. And that was really important to me at the time. And I'm really glad I played AM for that. And our team was awesome. We didn't win, but our team was awesome. And
where was it? It
was at Royal Aberdeen.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it was cold. It's cold up there. It's really cold. And it was an awesome experience. And yeah, I mean, we had a great team, and it was cool being a part of it. Jordan was on it, Patrick, Peter Uline, Harry, Chris Williams, Blaine Barber, Nathan Smith. I mean,
was Chris Williams on that team too?
Yep.
Yeah. He was caddy for Jackson Coyman the other day.
He was assistant coach at Auburn now. So yeah, it was just different then for me. And, Harris actually won that summer as well as an AM.
Gotcha.
At the same couple months after me. And, so he got his card that fall through Q school, and I did not. And so I went to the Corn Ferry in 12.
Man, how much talent was on those teams at Georgia?
Yeah. I mean, looking back, like Patrick Reed was on my team my sophomore year for almost a year. And, you got him, Hudson, Harris, Harm, Adam Mitchell, absolute stud. He was an animal, Walker Cupper, Palmer Cupper, semifinalist to USAM. Keith Mitchell was on the team. I mean, then after I left, you got Sepp,
that's right.
Dig, Dave, Joey. It was a lot of great golfers. And before I got there was B Todd and Kirk and Kiz. Yep. So, we kind of strung along like 10 or 12 years there of some really, really solid golfers, and cool to be part of it.
Yeah, when I went on my visit to Georgia, I think you and I played like a little short game. Like, I don't know if you remember this at all, but was it called the Gauntlet? Was that the game that you? Yeah. What exactly was it again?
See, we just pick out 9 holes, and usually you're always short-sighted, and they're just miserable chip shots where you have to like open the face and take the chance of hitting a really bad shot to get up and down. And I don't know how much confidence that really gave me, but yeah, we would play that almost every day. And I remember you visited with like 1 or 2 other guys too.
Yeah, maybe so. I can't really recall, but I do remember that you and I were playing the Gauntlet together, and I had a blast. I remember that. But when it comes to just the team that you guys had and how you guys prepared, I always heard that Chris Hack kind of just let everybody kind of do their own thing and work the way they wanted to work. Not necessarily like a scheduled type of deal. Is that how it was structured?
Yeah. So I think he expected the seniors or the leaders of the team to kind of organize the Gauntlet and get that going. And, his biggest thing was qualifying, and
so you're just going to go wear each other out.
Yeah. Like, hey, we got a great facility. We got golf courses to play whenever you want. What's going to make you better is qualifying and then playing these best tournaments in the nation, the best college tournaments you can play against the best fields. And, I used to ask him all the time, Hacker, what do I need to do to get better? What do I need to do? Because I'm not a very patient person. I want it now. And he would say, look, you're going to get better over time.
Yeah.
Keep working on your short game, get back out there and keep chipping and putting, and don't make any big changes. And just trust that when you qualify against these guys over time, when you play these college events that are the best in the nation, you're just going to get better doing that. And I think that kind of mentality is what allowed me to not overthink and make drastic changes, and kind of let me continue on and just get better over time.
And so you end up going to was it the Nationwide Tour at the time?
It changed to the web.com.
Okay. So it was the web.com. All right. So you get your card through there, and then as a rookie, you win at the Sony Open in 2013. For the most part, I think there was this feeling when, as a rookie, almost kind of like earning your dues type of deal, where it's like, oh, you know what? You can eventually win on the PGA Tour, but like you gotta figure out how to become a pro. That wasn't the deal for you. You won early, first PGA Tour event. What were your memories of that event, and were you surprised to see yourself get the job done?
Yeah, I was very surprised to see myself get the job done. If you asked me in the moment, I probably wouldn't have said that. But I mean, yeah, I just won 2 events late in the year on the now Korn Ferry Tour, and so I knew I was playing well, but I definitely didn't expect to win my first PGA Tour event. But I got paired with Scott Langley the first 2 days, and we were tied for the lead going into Sunday. And I played with him all 4 days, and so that was pretty cool. I mean, we get along great. You know, Scott Langley, like just pretty easy guy to hang with, and that was definitely helped my comfort level a lot. To be, you know, he had just gotten his card too, and we were just kind of doing it together. I think I opened with 63 and he opened with 62 the first day. And so it's kind of like, cool, this is fun.
This is great.
With my buddy. And we had just played the Palmer Cup together a few years before. We had tied for low am at the U.S. Open in 2010 at Pebble Beach. And I was very comfortable playing with him. And so, yeah, I mean – yeah.
It's a heck of a week. I just remember the crazy finish that she had. Was it like did you birdie like 5, like your last 5 holes or something like that?
My last 5. Tim Clark birdied the last 4.
Wow.
And I think I made my 3rd birdie in a row after he hit from like 20 feet. He had hit it inside 10 feet every hole, and he just like shook his head at me. And I still keep in touch with Tim. He's been so helpful in my career to be able to ask him questions and stuff. And he's just so nice. But yeah, he was I kind of stole that one.
Well, you've kept your card since 2013, 5 wins along the way. I feel like just so consistent on the PGA Tour. And what would you say the keys, you know, to your longevity and success? What would you credit that to?
Good question. I think that a big part of it is my home life is really solid. And I feel, like I said earlier, I feel very supported by my wife, by Teal. I feel like that's the biggest, you know, most important relationship that I have. And it's just awesome. I mean, so I feel like that gives me a lot of confidence and I guess stability within what I do. And then in terms of my work ethic, you know, I feel like I've been really consistent with my practice. And I feel like I've tried to take every kind of aspect of what it means to be a pro golfer and spend quality time on it most days, and not skip a day because I'm doing this well or add a little extra because I'm doing this poorly. Sure, there's a little bit of that, but just try to be really steady and consistent with my work ethic. And I feel like when I show up at events, I kind of feel the same most of the time. Sure, swing might feel a little different here or there. I make a little adjustment, but just in terms of the practice I put in, and I feel like also the rest. I spend a lot of time in the PT trucks. You know, I'm very focused on recovery, taking care of my body, and you know, I'm not afraid to spend an hour every day after the round, getting my body worked on. So I think I would just attribute the consistency to just kind of the work I put into every aspect of what it is to be a pro golfer. And I've been blessed to kind of see the fruits of it.
Was there a particular year or period of time since 2013 that sticks out to you as a year that, man, golf just wasn't quite as easy? Is there a year or period of time that sticks out for you?
Yeah. I mean, after I won in 13, I definitely had a couple good tournaments, but there was a lot of kind of struggle. 14 was the same way. I think I won the Honda, but I missed most of my cuts on the West Coast. But really in 19, I think I missed 9 or 10 in a row. I remember. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I feel like I missed 9 cuts in a row, and
which is unlike you, right? Like that's.
I had 100. I was like 160 something on the FedEx, and I remember calling my dad at the time, and I was like, "Dad, I think I'm about to lose my job," and just remember being very upset about it. And my caddy at the time, Todd Jesvold, I said, "Todd, I don't know what to do," and he said, He said, we get to work. He said, go home. This is what I want you to do. He told I hit like a bunch of balls. He gave me a couple of things to work on. He said, when you practice, I want it to be as intense practice as you can make it. And kind of from there, he started to lean in on me a little bit on practicing harder and more consistent. And in the next month or so, I started to gain a little confidence from that and had a good finish and kept my card.
Man, I mean, is there any other moments that stick out through this entire, I guess it would be 12-year PGA Tour career as another sticking moment of, man, like I'm so glad that I either put the work in here or got this advice during that period of time?
Let me think about that. Yeah, let me think. So, Todd Jesvold leaned on me, like I said, really hard to get after it, and start working like hard at my job, which I didn't think I was at the time. My caddy Andy now has been absolutely phenomenal, and has really elevated my game in a lot of ways. And I have a tremendous support staff, but supporting cast around me. But in terms of the work ethic thing, Todd Jesvold, and I had a really big sit down in 2019 when I was really struggling, and that was kind of a turning point for me.
Are you able to unwind away from the golf course? I think a lot of players struggle to get their minds off of golf when they leave the course. For you, what ways do you try to kind of unwind to get away from the game?
Yeah, I definitely struggle with that too. I mean, so right now I have 2 weeks off, thankfully. And I think for me, I don't know if other guys do this, but I'm taking 7 days and doing nothing, like golf-wise. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to take kids to school. I'm going to, pick them up from school. I'm taking my son to baseball. I'm playing with him in the yard. I'm trying to catch up on friends and, catch up with friends and hang out with them. And I just try to I'm trying to go less phone and more family. That's kind of how I unwind. So.
What about playing guitar? I recently was just doing some research and didn't realize you were such an avid guitarist.
Yeah, I used to play a lot more. I really don't play much anymore. We just acquired some land just north of Columbus, and we've been kind of spending some time out there. Got a fishing pond and maybe do some hunting and stuff like that. So that's something I do. But in terms of guitar, usually I just change diapers and chase kids.
Well, I mean, you played on stage with OAR and Darius Rucker, man. That's you obviously have, just a little bit of talent when it comes to playing guitar, right?
I played with Keith Urban too. It was pretty cool.
Where'd you play with him at?
The CVS Charity Classic.
Yeah, okay.
Rhode Island. So Darius is a funny story. I knew Darius from the country club of Charleston when I lived there. And I saw him playing the Pro-Am. He was playing in front of me in St. Simons at the RSM. And I said, hey, do you want to bet? Do you want to play for some money? And he said, sure. And about the 10th hole, he yelled back and said, you win. So I ended up talking to him. And I said, hey, instead of you paying me money, why don't you just let me play a song tonight? And I was like, and he goes, sure. So, wasn't expecting to say.
That's like the answer you didn't want.
Yeah, I know. I was like, well, okay. So I met him at his bus, before the show started. He said, meet me there. And I sat in his bus. We talked for a little bit. We played wagon wheel together on two of his really nice guitars. It was really cool. And it was just nothing for him. And then I got to go up on stage and play with him. So that was really cool. And Darius is just big golf guy, loves golf, super nice. And that was amazing. I'll never forget that.
Well, more nervous for you getting on stage with Darius, Keith Urban, OAR than the putt on 18 at Bay Hill. Which one is more nerve-wracking?
I would say the putt on 18 at Bay Hill. Everybody expected me to make that, or I should make that. And I can mess up or just act like I'm strumming with a guitar with those guys. So you can fake it the other way. You can't fake it on the green at Bay Hill.
Oh man, that's great. Is there any other tour players that are big guitar guys that come to mind?
I know Jason Gore, used to play, but he is phenomenal at guitar.
Really?
Yeah, he's good. And he's got a really cool guitar collection too. Kevin Streelman's pretty good at guitar. He's definitely better than me. I think he actually sings a little bit, which I'm not a good singer. But,
me and you both.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm not sure. I have to think about that. But I know Kevin Streelman and Jason Gore.
Yeah. To kind of get back onto this PGA Tour questions, it seemed like winning came easy to you, like at the beginning of your career. And obviously, I think you would take this version of Russell over the young version of Russell from just a overall playing standpoint. But what about the young version of Russell, as far as just his ability to like win golf tournaments versus the one now where it seems like you get yourself in contention all the time and then finally get that breakthrough at Bay Hill? What do you think the difference between the two is? Yeah,
great question. I think I've put in a lot more hard work to be consistent like I've been. And that's a huge part of it. I think I'm a lot more content now than I was with failure. I think I've experienced missed cuts and struggling here and there. And I'm very content. I don't want to fail. I want to do well. I'm passionate about my job, but I think I'm more content now than I was then with failure. Failure, when I first got on tour, I wanted to hide, and I just wanted to not be seen. But I think I was a little bit more cocky, probably a little bit more obsessed with myself then. Probably not as nice to be around, I would hope. Compared to now, but definitely just kind of a different guy.
So when you get into contention, which has happened a lot over the last couple of years, for you, what have you figured out about like what Russell needs to do on a Sunday to get the job done? Is there certain situations, because you always hear that you learn something every time that you get into contention, but still, when it comes to that next Sunday or that next Sunday when you're in contention, you still, like in that moment, have to find a way to make the nerves kind of go away and go play, winning golf.
Yeah, I've never been able to make the nerves go away. I'm always nervous. I'm a little bit nervous right now talking to you.
You and I both, man.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit nervous all around, a little bit anxious, and so what I've kind of done is just try to accept that and just lean into, okay, what do I need to do right now? And can I get my intensity level up? Because I feel like I'm more in control when my intensity level is up and not when I'm trying to be calm and confident. I've never done well trying to be calm and confident.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I would say that you have many strengths in your game. But the one strength that from a statistical standpoint is your approach game, just how good you've been with your irons over the course of your career. For people that are listening to learn how to become better iron players, how can they learn how to? I mean, obviously they maybe not have the talent that Russell Henley has, but how can they learn how to hit it pin high more often? How to practice maybe how you do?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of wedges, I use my TrackMan to test myself a lot. Most days I pull out the TrackMan and I practice between 60 and 140 yards.
Yeah.
And when I see a number, I go in increments of 5. So like some people are like, oh, I just felt 117. Well, I don't feel 117. I have a 110 shot, I have a 115 shot, and I have a 120 shot. And that's given me a little bit of a simple way to think about it.
How do you add or take off distance? Is it based off the swing length?
Yeah, swing length. I kind of know what it feels like about to go to a 120 shot, kind of like 125.
I'm not a clock guy. I never was a clock guy, so I just kind of knew where it was.
Yeah. And so I try to make some practice swings, getting the feel for what it feels like, and about that length of backswing, and then I just kind of go with it. And I've realized, like, good contact is the biggest part. Because like I used to kind of hit a lot of cuts and draws, but I realized my distance was varying a lot when I would hit a lot of different shots. So the more I can hit just like a basic kind of mid-flight, basic good contact shot over and over and over, that's allowing me to hit my numbers better.
It's funny because when I watch you play, I don't see many fades. I don't see many draws. I see a lot of the mid-trajectory iron shots. You're not trying to hit it to the moon. You're not trying to hit it way low. It seems like the same shot most times.
Yeah, and when I was in Charleston, it was windy. When I was in Athens, it was windy. So I feel like I've always seen just a lower flight, and I feel like if it's really firm, then I just hit a full shot and hit it hard. Because the harder part for me is taking the spin off, but I feel like it's easier when you hit it lower. Yeah.
Well, how do you balance working on strengths versus addressing weaknesses?
Yeah. Well, people have been asking me that lately about like, my driving distance. And I feel like if I was to put a lot of work in to gaining distance and I started hitting one less fairway around, of the courses we play, I just, and with the strength of my iron game, I just feel like that would be a big disadvantage. Now, statistically, you could look at me and you could say, if you gain 10 yards statistically, that's just not right. That's just not really a risk I'm willing to take to go down to like stress out my body, do something completely different I've done for the last 13 years. And the last 5 years I've been working with a physical therapist, Joel Stindsley, actually 6 years. And I'm as stable and, strong in all the right spots as I've been. It's just, it's adding up to really consistent ball striking. And so to tweak that for another 7 to 9 yards or try to swing up on it more.
Yeah.
I don't see and feel like that's a big advantage for me.
Interesting. Okay. Well, obviously it was a big banner year for you last year, getting picked to be on the President's Cup team. So Jim Furyk makes the phone call to you and says, "Hey, Russell, we want you to be on the team." For the amount of years leading up to getting that phone call and the amount of years that I'm sure that you're sitting there scrolling your phone, looking at the President's Cup points list or the Ryder Cup points list, for that phone call to finally come through, what did that mean to you?
Man, that one brought me to tears. It was pretty cool because I had lost my dad into last summer, and my dad was a big fan of watching my golf. And so there's just a lot of emotion last year going into the playoffs and maybe making that team and having a good year. And it all kind of hit me at once in that moment. And I've tried to I've called Jim over the years and asked him questions about his game and how he looks at all sorts of different stuff, course management, golf swing. What do you do when you're trying to field this type of shot? He's always answered. He's always been available to me. And I've tried to model my game after him. He's kind of underrated, being like the fourth leading money winner all time on tour. And, and I tried to model my game after his. And so to get the call from him was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm still blown away by it.
I mean, what about just a general confidence boost for you? You show up and now you have the support, not only from Jim Furyk, but the guys who you've competed against who've been on these teams. And now all of a sudden, hey, they're in your corner and they want the best for Russell and giving you advice on how to handle being in a President's Cup team, but also just, getting to see a different side of these guys.
Oh, great question. The best. I mean, before I comment on that, let me tell you, when I arrived, we arrived Saturday up in Canada, and Monday, Justin Leonard and I had a talk. He walked right up to me and he got right in my face and he put his finger on my chest and he was like, he just so direct, people don't talk to each other like that these days. We're all on our phones and nobody makes eye contact. It was like old school. He walked up to me, finger in the chest, and he goes, "We picked you because we want you to play like you. Don't try to be Scottie. Don't try to be Patrick. Don't try to be Tony. we want you to be Russell Henley this week and just do what you do. And he's just so direct with me. And I was feeling kind of nervous a little bit, like, how's my game going to match up? I don't really know. Never done this before. And I was like, man, that was awesome. Like, Justin Leonard just
great.
came up to me and was like, do what you do. Like, that's a command. And that was something I'll never forget. That meant so much to me. And then the guys were so nice. Like, I just can't get over how kind everybody has been and how encouraging everybody was that week. And just to share that with these guys who I'm I can't tell how many times I've, YouTubed, Patrick Cantlay pitching, Patrick Cantlay putting, or Scottie driver swing, or, all these guys, Brian Harmon chipping, Brian Harmon bunker. I mean, I literally have tried to model my game around these guys, and they're all looking at me going, hey, we love that you're on the team. It's kind of the attitude I felt. And it was just like, it was awesome.
So when you showed up on Saturday, had you kind of known that you were going to be paired for Scottie that week, or when did you kind of get the news that you might be playing for world number one? Yeah.
So it's pretty funny. 2 weeks before, it just makes me laugh. It's so funny. 2 weeks before, Kiz called me, and Kiz, he was my camp counselor at UGA golf camp when I was 12. And
oh my God, that's the exact camp counselor you want to have is Kiz.
He's my role model. And so he called me. He said, hey, me and the captain's been talking. Would you be cool playing with Scottie? And I'm like, yeah, would he be okay playing with me is the real question. I was like, of course. And Meredith and Teal get along. I've spent time with Scottie and Sam, and I get along with Scottie great. I love being around Scottie. He's got a great personality, and doesn't hurt that he's won 8 times last year, and they're asking me if I want to be on his team. I'm like, duh. So they sent me some of his balls to play with for the alternate, and I practiced with him some leading up to it, and I got there, and I also talked to Jim on the phone 2 weeks before as well, and he talked to me about it, and I just said, so just to clarify, you're going to put me with Scottie, like that's pretty much it? And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to change it around. I'm like, okay. And so every practice round, it was me and Scottie versus 2 other guys who we were playing against, and it was awesome.
I mean, how did you feel like yours and Scottie's game kind of matched as far as, I guess, was it best ball and alternate shot, or did y'all play both formats? I can't remember.
We played both. So let me think about this. I mean, I felt like the reason the way they had done it was he was on all the par threes. I think if he's on the odds, he got all the par threes, and some of them were like 220-yard holes. So for his long iron game, it was great. And then all the other holes was me putting him in the fairway. And so that's it was the perfect combination in that sense. If I could just hit balls in the fairway for him, and then I could putt a lot. And so, it was a really good combination. I mean, he played well. He would tell you he struggled a little bit on one of the matches, but he's just an absolute stud. And so,
he's way more competitive than I realized when I started to spend a little bit more time around him. And this isn't just golf; this is everything. Yeah, he's just a competitive psycho. Were you kind of able to embrace that competitiveness? Like, as soon as the gun went off, did you feel that kind of wake up, or was it pretty lax out there? Like, was it like, what was the general mood? I guess it probably changed depending on the match.
Yeah. I felt like his demeanor was really steady and calm and confident the whole time. Sure, there were some moments where we got really excited, but I couldn't tell. The way he walked into the ball on the 14th hole on Saturday versus Thursday on the first hole was the exact same. And that's something I think that the greats have all done. It's like their demeanor and their speed, they're doing things is the same all the time. I've heard Jack Nicklaus talk about that. And that's something I noticed with him. And yeah, I mean, he's very competitive. I noticed it more in the practice rounds. So all those guys on that team are really competitive in practice rounds. And like come Wednesday, the day before the tournament, we're playing like 9-hole matches against each other. And I'm kind of like Wednesdays for me, I like to kind of touch the bases, do a little everything, but really just kind of just mentally relax.
Yeah.
And these guys wanted to compete like Wednesday, and the thing's starting Thursday. And I mean, all those guys, they're very competitive, and I am too. We all just operate a little differently, but it was cool.
Well, you and I both played basketball growing up all the way through high school, right? So we have that competitive juice that extends outside of the golf course. And I'm sure in anything that you do, I've lost that competitive juice a little bit. I used to be kind of crazy, but as soon as I stepped away from golf, I've kind of lost that juice. But also, like it'll every now and then kind of show up, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're back.
yeah. Your mind, like when you play basketball now, your mind it wants you to go faster there, but your body can't do it.
Yeah, that's right. Who's making your top 5 basketball team for the PGA Tour? Who you putting in the starting 5?
Well, I need
Is Scottie making it? Like, I feel like I saw him playing pickup the other day.
Really? I'm sure he's good. Is he good?
It looked pretty good. I mean, he'd be a pretty good like stretch 3 or stretch 4, stretch 3, pick and roll type of dude. He's probably going to be the perfect guy to set a pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he wasn't 6'3" or 4. He's a big guy. Yeah, I mean, he'd probably be on there. He's competitive. I definitely think
you and Denny would be the shooters.
Denny's amazing at shooting. I mean, the 3-point contest we had at Ohio State last year was crazy. The guy is an
between you two.
It was me, Denny, Trey Molinax, and Harry. And
between you, all right. So between you and Denny, like how much was he a better shooter than you?
Oh yeah. So we did the 3-point contest. We did. I guess there's 5 spots, 5 balls, and there's a money ball at the end were 2. And I think, so what is that, 30 total points? And I think I got like 15 and 17. I shot nice. Like I did really well. And that's good. I mean, there was no timer. I mean, that's the difference in the NBA. They time you. So like you shoot it, by the time you shoot it, I think you have
the next ball going up.
Yeah. We didn't do that. We could take our time, take a few bounces and all that. But Denny made like 23 and 25.
That's so dumb.
It was beautiful.
What about my boy Molinax? How did he do?
So Trey went twice, and he made 1 shot out of 60 shots. Out of 50 shots, he made 1. But he's the best, man. He's so funny.
He went to Gardendale here in town, which they were in our area my junior and senior year, and he wasn't on the basketball team, but he used to be a part of their student section. And when I would be playing in the games, like he would be yelling, talking like the most yelling at me during the games. And that's just classic Trey.
That's funny, man. That's funny. Yeah, I would say Gary Woodland, definitely Saw. I bet Tony.
Wait, Saw? Really?
He can shoot.
What?
He's got his shots kind of like his golf game. It's very unique, kind of like cool looking,
I didn't have Saw, and I didn't know he was a decent player, but definitely Gary Woodland.
Great hands. Saw's got great hands. Tony
DJ before he was on Live.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure DJ was. He good at everything, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, we're about done here, Russell, and I guess my last kind of question here is, as we head throughout the rest of the year, I think some guys, when they're goal setters, they tend to maybe get a little bit too focused on those goals and lose track of where they're at. Are you someone that is typically a goal setter?
I haven't been in terms of the actual outcome. I've been very diligent with my plan, I guess I would say, like in terms of my preparation, my practice, my rest, my recovery. I try to be really diligent about that, but then just kind of the overall mindset of I want to play against the best players in the world.
Yeah.
I want to play in the biggest tournaments in the world and as big a tournaments as I can and play against the best possible players as much of the time as I possibly can. I want to see what I'm made of. So if that adds up to 5 more wins or it adds up to no more wins and whatever, a bunch of made cuts or whatever, I mean, whatever good it adds up to, that's kind of my what I want to achieve and what I'm looking to do. And, of course I want to win majors. Of course I want to make teams. I mean, obviously, but my main goal is like, how can I be very good at all the little things that I do well, really consistently? That's kind of what I focus on.
Well, Russell, this has been a great conversation. And if you're ever trying to mix it up and you're not quite getting the action in Columbus and you want to come drive over to Birmingham, it's not that far away. We can play some golf over here. So we'd love to have you. And of course, we're going to be cheering you on. It's been fun to watch you play such great golf. And of course, getting the win in Orlando a couple weeks ago, that was a lot of fun for me to see.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, man.
All right, buddy. See you soon.
All right. See you.
I listen to this podcast. It's really cool. And
all of our lovely fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too. So please keep it up.
For all the good people at YouTube, like and subscribe.
You guys have some good takes, so I'm happy to come on and shoot the